When you scan the headlines every day, like we do here on RFL, you often see some of the same themes repeated over and over again, even when the stories change. Take, for example, mental illness, drug abuse, suicide. Three obviously very personal topics, but for, well, a large portion of this population, they know them all too well. Too often, we lose the personal ways of discussing and even digesting them, which is why we wanted tonight to learn more about a new film called No Alternative, which hits all three of those issues and more. Here's a clip.
All right, guys, check this out. If we submit a demo and they like us, we get to play in a battle at the Capitol Theater. Winner gets a record deal.
We're not ready.
We can do this.
You know those guys?
Yeah, they're in my class. They're a bunch of posers.
You want to go for a drive?
You got a car?
I hooked up with your brother. I've had better.
We have no choice. We told you, if you lose control again, we're going to send you back. We can't give you the supervision you need.
I don't understand what's wrong.
She's been on antidepressants since she was 8 years old, if you can believe it. Done everything we could to shield you from it.
For more, we are joined by the film's director, who also wrote the book that the film is based on, William Dickerson. William, thank you.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Obviously, this is not just a film. This is a personal, it's a passion project. This is about, in many ways, your life, and particularly your sister's life.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I have a very intimate experience with the mentally ill because my sister was diagnosed borderline personality, and she had been on a variety of antidepressant medications since she was about 11 years old. So, you know, and growing up watching movies and being a film lover, the way Hollywood has portrayed mental illness, to me, it's been very black and white. It's either two extremes. You have the character who hides in the corner, can't really talk about anything, or you have like the character who's just super, you know, crazy as crazy can be. But I was aware of all the shades of gray in between, so I thought that this would be a good project to kind of, you know, focus on mental illness within a character in as realistic a fashion as possible.
And it's set in the mid-90s. Yeah. Music, a huge part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Not just as a soundtrack, but also part of the lives of the principals involved. And also, for folks certainly in Westchester, you're going to recognize some familiar scenes. Yonkers, Dementia, the Capitol Theater,
yep.
Portchester. Talk about how both the local area and obviously the time period are characters in this piece.
Oh, well, you know, the early 90s, I would say, informed me as an individual and as an artist more than any other period in my life. You know, essentially it's a brother-sister story. The brother's 17 years old. This is the height of the grunge movement. He wants to be the next Kurt Cobain and wants to form a band that could become the next Nirvana. And it's an obsession that blinds him to what's either the mental collapse or eruption of musical genius of his little sister Bridget, who decides to reject the alternative trends and become a gangster rapper named Brita B, which at the time, in this very kind of, you know, middle to upper middle class, primarily white neighborhood, it was an edgy, rebellious thing to do, and that's exactly what my own sister did. And I felt like by taking this alternate personality that was so outside of the norms, that was a way that she was able to channel her emotions and channel her mental illness in a positive way, I think.
And you intentionally set out, like you said, not to make this a preachy film, but to try and to make this an honest thing, because in many families they know it's not, as you said, on the polar extremes when discussing
Correct.
this. Drug use is a portion of this film, and you wrote the book that obviously turned in there, but you wrote it in part as an outreach, right, to your
100%.
sister. And sadly, the message you hoped to have delivered, whether it was taken or not, at the end of the day, she did take her life.
She did, yeah.
How do you navigate all that?
Well, I'll tell you, when I started this process, I thought it would be cathartic for me, and I hope I get to that catharsis, but it's really kind of letting a wound continue to be open. The book itself, which is available, it's very cinematic. The writing's very cinematic, and like you said, I wrote it kind of as a cautionary tale for when my sister was alive, in hopes that she would read it and see that a sibling, other than the character based on her, dies. And I wanted to show her how that would affect a family, because she had tried to commit suicide several times, terribly so. She put herself in comas various times. She was lucky she actually survived many of these, and it took such a toll on myself and my family. I thought, well, if I construct this story, I can show her how we're feeling. But in retrospect, I believe that was kind of naive of me, because mental illness is so much more. There's so much more to it than meets the eye, and people don't realize how ingrained it is. It's not something you could just switch off, right? if you have a broken leg, there's a cast. You can see it. It takes time to heal. Mental illness is a real thing. All right, the brain is a part of the physical body, and a lot of people don't really, take that to heart. And that's what I've realized through this process, and this is what I hope I get across in the movie.
Well, this film touches on so many things, and particularly if you're in the market and you want to see some landmarks and also take you back to 20 years ago where we were, and not just the music but the time, you should check it out. Tell people where they can see it, both now but also coming up in the spring.
Yeah, well, we just had a successful New York premiere at Yo Fi Fest in Yonkers last week, and it will be released nationwide in April. The first week of April. We're still working out the details with our distributor, but early 2019 you'll be able to see it at your local cable provider, on transactional VOD, iTunes, Amazon, and eventually Blu-ray and DVD, and streaming.
And again, not a preachy film, but an honest one, and I think with this subject matter that's been in some short supply. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Richard. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Coming up next, helping ex-cons stay out of prison, something we've talked about quite a bit on this program. Now, a group helping prisoners not only get their educations with private funds, but also helping them in another way. Hudson Link and the power of a helping home. That next.